The Gates of New Jerusalem. Okay, you can see the title of the video. Guys, we've been on a series, and I really hope that you have followed along with each and every message. It would be really helpful if you did, because if you did, you will understand some of the concepts we're getting into this one. We are so excited to be here, guys. In this series, we have made 2 startling discoveries. We are greatly blessed by the grace of the Most High to show us these things. Those 2 discoveries are, the high priest breastplate. We showed you the arrangement of the high priest breastplate, and then there are gemstones, and we arrange them in such a way that they are that of New Jerusalem. We have the Urim and Thummim in the middle, And why is this important? Because New Jerusalem is the same way. You have the cardinal points, and then you have the gemstones. So let's put it like this with Joseph on top. So when we see Revelation talk about New Jerusalem, we're going to read it. We'll show it to you if you're not familiar. But there are gemstones listed. Now, their second main, so we've seen how they relate from the breastplate to New Jerusalem. We showed you that in a previous video. Our other huge discovery was the fact that New Jerusalem is not a perfect square. It's not a perfect square. It is not 12,000 stadia, it's 12,000 reeds. Huge difference. Huge difference. Now, when we have looked at New Jerusalem as a perfect square, it is 2,400 miles. Well, our next discovery, was that's not the case, because the angel is showing John based on a construct of something in Jewish thought called the New Jerusalem in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's what's brought on this next series, where we are actually showing you what New Jerusalem looks like, because we actually have measurements that correspond to the book of Revelation found in the Dead Sea Scrolls 100 years before Christ. So 100 years before Christ, in the Qumran community, they had the idea and construct of New Jerusalem. The angel shows Apostle John the same thing, with certain elements to it. All right, now, what is this all about? Why are we talking about it? Well, number one, I'm fascinated with the fact that people are actually not interested in heaven. That's what New Jerusalem is heaven. They're not interested. And it makes one concerned, like Abraham, he was a stranger and a pilgrim on this earth. He looked for a city whose builder maker was God. So we're supposed to look for heaven, the city, But people are actually not interested, and the concern is they're not going there. And that's why we're concerned, there's going to be more in this series, guys. You got to follow each video. But it's going to be a lot smaller, New Jerusalem is a lot smaller. Now, what is New Jerusalem anyway? New Jerusalem is you got Adam and Eve in the garden. Now, before they could make any progress, we don't see any children, and there's no progress. And what happened? They eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, bringing upon death. But what if they didn't? What if Adam and Eve didn't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? They ate from the tree of life. Maybe if they had a city and they had more and more children and grew and grew and grew, maybe it was New Jerusalem. Maybe it was the plan all along. But because they didn't, the Most High has revealed his plan through his covenant with Abraham, through the tabernacle of Moses, through the first temple, and as well, it is revealed through the Apostle John, actually to Ezekiel in the Ezekiel temple, and it's revealed to Apostle John in the book of Revelation at the end of the apocalypse, that we have New Jerusalem, So what is this? This is the plan all along. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And in the Garden of Eden, what do we have? We had the tree of life, we had the river of life, and we had the gemstones. So the gemstones, are listed. It says there's gold. The gold is good. And that gold, good, what that means, it's transparent gold. So in New Jerusalem, the gold is transparent. You can see through it. All right. And then there's some gemstones listed, bdellium and onyx. It says in the King James. So onyx, we know, is onyx stone. And onyx stone is the sard onyx, In New Jerusalem, it's the tribe of Judah. You see, sardonyx. All right, and then, okay, so that's onyx, directly corresponding what Apostle John sees. So what? Tribe of Judah. And then, if we look at the Septuagint, what it says that there is a green colored is bedulum, okay? It's phrase, a phrason, okay? And that relates to the tribe of Joseph in New Jerusalem, chrysophrase, okay? So if we look at these words, we can see that even in the Garden of Eden, the gemstones and things that are there are relating to Yahweh's plan all the way in the end. New Jerusalem has the river of life, has a tree of life, and it has 2 of these gemstones as part of the foundations of the 12 gates. Now, in Hebrew, okay, it's bedulah or bedulum, you see in the King James, and that relates to a resin, okay? Now, Septuagint looked at it like a green gemstone, like we showed you, but in the Hebrew, it has more of an idea of like a resin, something like a myrrh, okay, a sap of a tree that dries and becomes a resin. Okay. Well, one of the ideas of what that was is pearl. It's not pearl from an oyster, but it's like a pearl translucent resin. Okay, that it's a little mysterious word, bedulum, but what we're getting at is because it has these pearl-like aspects, the gates of New Jerusalem, okay, are pearl. And what we believe there is that's a type of stone called the mother of pearl. So what are we getting at? What we're getting at is all the way back in the Garden of Eden, we have elements that relate to Yahweh's initial plan for mankind in seeding New Jerusalem all the way back in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so that you have gates, you have an east gate. The cherubim were at the east gate so that they could not eat from the tree of life after they ate from the tree of knowledge, good and evil. It was guarded by cherubim at the east. Well, it's the east is the east gate. Okay, but within that garden, within the Most High's plan, he had a plan all along for New Jerusalem, but that plan, okay, went and took 7,000 years. Okay, we get 6,000 years of mankind. We get 1,000 years of the Ezekiel temple and the millennial reign of Christ, at the conclusion of which is New Jerusalem. But we want to point out that this is the plan all along, and that the redemptive process to get back there comes through Most High fulfilling his covenant with Abraham, the Moses tabernacle with the breastplate on the high priest. Okay, you can see you have the Urim and Thummim in the middle. That's what you have in New Jerusalem. You have the middle in the holy place, and Yahweh and the Lamb will be in the midst of New Jerusalem, just like Adam and Eve were with the Most High in the garden. Okay, and so in this one, we are talking about the gates, but we want you to know that in this whole thing, we are in a remarkable discovery where we can see, okay, the plan is a perfect order of the Most High, so that the gemstones on the breastplate relate to New Jerusalem. Okay, and we have the 4 rivers in the Garden of Eden. We have the tree of life there, and we have some of the places it mentions, Havilah, Syria, and Cush. All right, so that is Christ's kingdom in the millennium, okay, where he's going to rule over the nations. And so even though it mentions those places, you have New Jerusalem, and then those are names written on the Rand's Book of Life, but then the outside has nations. Okay, the nations are there. The nations that survive, you know, the Most High's judgments. Okay, but it's only those on the Lamb's Book of Life that can go into the city and go into the gates. Okay, so we're very excited to be able to share with you in this message the gates. The gates of New Jerusalem. Okay, what we're looking at here is our model, our rendering, and what we have is the gates are here, and on either side are the towers. There are towers. Now, the height of our wall here is 144 cubits, and what we've done is we've tried to represent this as we read it. A part of New Jerusalem is translucent. So this is jasper, The building of the wall is of jasper. So that different jaspers, we opted for a light blue. So it's almost like a translucent, okay, wall. Then what we have is we have a foundation to that wall and stairs leading up. Inside the wall, as you can see, these are city blocks and buildings. We had talked about those in the previous video, and we'll talk about them some more in the future. The streets are of gold, okay, and this design of New Jerusalem we believe was given to David when he built the temple. And in the ancient times, in the gates that Solomon built, this is a reconstruction. We don't have intact gates going back to Solomon, but the foundations do exist to this day. And here you see an example of a gate and two towers, two watchtowers on either side, and a tall wall next to it. So these elements of what we could see even in the first temple, where we have a wall, we have tall towers, and then we have the gate in between the two tall towers. This is, of course, what we can also see in New Jerusalem. And we get these measurements from the Dead Sea Scrolls, where they tell us the height of the gate, the width, and the towers. The difference we made is that the angel reveals to Apostle John the height of the wall is 144 cubits, where in the Dead Sea Scrolls the wall was much lower at 50 cubits. Okay, it's a much lower wall and lower towers corresponding. Okay, now what are we doing? Well, in Revelation 11 it gives us instructions of measuring the temple. There was given to me a reed like a rod, and the angel said, "Rise, measure the temple of God, the altar and them that worship therein." Okay, so there's a time to measure. And then we have something else called the instructions for the holy city or court, but the court which is without the temple, leave it out, measure it not, for it is given to the nations, and the holy city they shall tread. Now, what this is doing is this is telling us about, this is our motto here, this is our kind of scaled down New Jerusalem. And what it's telling us is that this is a court that goes around, and both the Ezekiel temple and New Jerusalem are called the Holy City, and they have 12 gates of the 12 tribes of Israel, so that if you measure Ezekiel's city, you also can measure and understand New Jerusalem. But there's a time by which we are not to measure, okay? But the court which is without the temple, leave it out, or don't measure it not, is given to the nations. Okay, so we go through a certain time where we're not to measure, but after such a time we are to measure, we are to understand this, okay? And then in Revelation 21, this is New Jerusalem right here. The great city, Holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, not built by man, but by God, having the glory of God as her light, like unto a stone precious, like unto jasper stone, clear as crystal, okay, translucent, right? And had a great wall, great and high, and 12 gates. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here, is one of the gates. It's a very high wall. It's translucent, see-through, like crystal or glass. Jasper stone, a great wall high with 12 gates. That's one of the 12 gates. And at the 12 gates, 12 angels, and the names written, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And so that's, again, what we have in, we've represented in here. Now, there's no point in, we didn't actually fill out all of this because it just repeats the same thing and the program begins to crash with too much data. But we'll zoom in and show you what New Jerusalem is here, what's going on. It's basically a you take something very small and then you continue to look at it and expand upon that concept. So we see this 12 gates, and they're on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, on the west 3 gates. Okay, so that's what we have here. It's 28.8 miles. That's the distance from one corner to the other. So we just scaled this down really small. There are actually gates here, one here, one here, and one here. So at east, this is east because the river is going this way. We have 3 gates at each side. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city. So he measured the city with what? A reed. To measure the city, the gates, and the wall. So he's measuring the city with a reed. Okay? And so it's at a reed stadia. And so he says 12,000. And so we realize that 12,000 reeds is 144 stadia. And so upon that realization, it's 12,000 reeds and not stadia, we end up with a much smaller New Jerusalem. And he measured the city with a reed at stadia, 12,000. So this is 12,000 reeds at stadia. What at stadia means is the stadia is a line measurement. Okay, so the angel, the same angel that visits John, had already visited Ezekiel, and he has a reed and he has a measuring line. The measuring line is for the stadia. So this is a reed at stadia, so he has a reed and he has a line, but he is measuring 12,000 reeds. The length and the breadth are equal, so it's a perfect square. He measured the wall 144 cubits. Okay, so that's what we have here. That thus the height of our wall is 144 cubits. Okay, and the building of the wall was of jasper. The city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. So that's why we rendered it as such. Now, this is an example of a gate that, you know, in archaeology, it's believed that Solomon built. I do as well. And this is in a place called Hazor, and it's very well preserved. And what you can see is the entrance of the gate comes this way, and you go through, and you have passageways inside. And this is very similar to what we see in Ezekiel. So in the Ezekiel temple, and this is one of the gates, you have the same thing. You can enter, and then you have chambers inside. And the measurements are very, very similar that Ezekiel gets from the angel. Basically, Ezekiel chapter 40 is just dedicated to the gates. There's more detail in the gates in the Ezekiel temple than any other structure or any other detail. So that the Ezekiel gates, we can see, line up exactly with that of built by Solomon with the instructions from David. Okay, now this is 4 places where these gates have been discovered, and you can see on this they call it Solomon's blueprint, but it really wasn't Solomon's blueprint. It's David's blueprint. And these exist here throughout Israel. This is a document by Armstrong Institute, I believe. And you can see in 1 Chronicles, then David gave to Solomon, his son, the pattern for the porch, the houses, the treasuries, the upper chambers, the parlors, the place or house of the mercy seat, the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit, okay, in the courts of the house of the Lord, the chambers round about, and treasuries of the house of God, and the treasuries of the dedicated things. Okay, so David gets the instructions to, and gives those to Solomon, okay, which we can see to this day, his instructions. And these are not, this is not in Jerusalem. There is one in Jerusalem, but these are in other places, so they're a little bit more better preserved. And we can see that that is exactly when the angel visits Ezekiel, tells him the same thing, and we would expect to see the same thing in New Jerusalem, or something close to it, and we do. So when we went about modeling our gates, okay, this is a gate if we just look at the first floor. All right, so the entrance of the gate is here, and remember there were chambers, 3 on either side, and we have that as well. So we have 3 chambers here. It describes a stairwell going up, and this is the tower. So those 2 big towers that you saw going up, there's a staircase to go up to the top, and that's going up like 300 feet. Staircase. All right, but this is the gates, guys. This is the gates of New Jerusalem, or at least our feeble attempt at representing them. All right, so this is the thickness of the wall here in blue, and what we did is it told us exactly, okay, well, slight difference, 35 cubits, we have 36 cubits, because the angel is measuring everything with a reed. So what is a reed? A reed is 6 cubits. So everything is divisible by 6 cubits. So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they said it was 35 cubits. All right. Well, what we have is we have 36 cubits because it has to be divisible by 6. And so that's what we have here, 36 cubits. And then our chamber here is 18, or 3 reeds. So 6 reeds, 3 reeds, and this is 42 cubits. Okay. And that is 7 reeds. Okay, so everything is measurable. The height of our gate is 72 cubits, which is 12 reeds. All right, so this is the height of the gate, 12 reeds. The sides, 6 reeds, and then the height, 144 cubits, which is 24 reeds. Okay. So we can see this goes all the way back to David, where we get this pattern, and these are shown to us in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, so I'm going to go through this kind of quickly and read it, but I just want to show you where the instructions that we're following to build this out, where they're coming from. So the Dead Sea Scrolls have this document, and he showed me, or the angel showed the guy in Qumran, the 12 main gates, and they're portals or doors. So the width of the door is 21 cubits. All right, the height is 14 cubits. Okay, so we're following those. There's a stairway that goes up alongside the gate on the right side of the towers. Okay, that gives us the measurements of the towers. The towers and the stairways, 5 rods, or 5 cubits. And he showed me the 12 main gates and their width, and he measured 6 by 6 rods, 24 cubits. Okay, so then the towers. It tells us the towers, okay, the measurements of the towers. And then we see some other things here about the rooms and other sizes in the Dead Sea Scrolls document related to the measurements. Now, actually, before we get into Isaiah 54, let's go into the SketchUp model. Okay, we're in the 3D model, and as we're looking at the gate, you can see we have the towers, we have the wall, and then this is the structure of the gate itself. Off here, what this is this is called a city block, and in the city block, these are the chambers, the many mansions. In my Father's house are many mansions. So those are the accommodations inside the city. Now let's through the model here, it's a bit of a struggle to do this, but I'm gonna try to navigate and bring us to the entrance of the gates of a New Jerusalem. So here on the outside would be the nations, okay, and then this is the gate. Okay, this one looks like it's for the tribe of Asher. And as we go inside, you can see that you would climb the stairs. And then inside will be chambers. Okay. And then we saw that there are 12 angels at the 12 gates. So upon the entrance of the chambers, one of the angels would be there to be a doorkeeper to the gate on either side. Okay, and let's zoom out, and it's a little bit difficult to go inside, but in the model, remember we had different chambers, and what we did is we basically took those and put those off to the side in a place where we can see what it looks like without the roofs and taller pieces, and that's what we have here. Okay, and this is the gate with the roofs removed, and here you can see that upon the entrance, you come up the stairs, you come in the entrance, that's the gateway, and then there are chambers on either side, and just like David had chambers, there were 3 on either side, 3 on the right, 3 on the left. We have the same thing. This one leads, and there's a stairway, as we can see, and then we have 2 more, and then there are 2 other chambers which are part of the structure of the tower. So that is the gates on of New Jerusalem, as you will see them upon entering. Okay, and if we go to our larger model, actually let's look at this one. We have another gate, and what this gate is this gate exists in a city block. So it's a smaller one, and when you enter a city block, you enter through this gate, and then you enter that city block, and it also has walls in it. Okay. Now, once we go to our larger model of New Jerusalem, let's see if we can get over there. There it is. Okay. Once we go over here, okay, there's a few things we want to point out, and that is, remember on the breastplate of the high priest, there was the Urim and Thummim, and the Urim and Thummim were in the middle, and we have the same thing here, so that the holy area is in the middle, and then the gemstones went around. And that, let's see if we can zoom in. Okay, so these are the streets. The streets are made of gold. And let's see if we can zoom in and see. Okay, this is one of the gates, guys. So keep in mind, we're looking at something that's very, very large. Okay, so you saw how we looked at the gates before. Well, this is a gate here. So that is just how, you know, in terms of our 3D model, it's our gates are pretty small. Okay, this particular gate, okay, yes, the gate of Benjamin is in the east, and this gate, as you can see, has the river of life coming out of it. And we know the river is coming out of the east gate. We're following the information we get from the book of Ezekiel. But if you look inside there, that there would be, the Most High would be in that holy precinct along with the Lamb, and from that his throne precedes the river of life, and that comes out towards the east. So this is an example of one of the gates, and there are different foundations in different colors. So you can see Asher had a different color than this one, and so there will be one of these at each cardinal point. So we're here at the east, but over in the other points we have 3 at each side, and each one would be a different foundation, and each foundation one of the 12 apostles. Now, we also want to show you New Jerusalem in Isaiah 54. For many people, they don't know this. But everything that John is seeing in New Jerusalem, it is coming from the foundation of some prophet, the law, the Torah, or in this case, also the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Isaiah 54 and verse 1, this is cited as New Jerusalem by Apostle Paul in Galatians chapter 4. But the upward Jerusalem, upward or heavenly Jerusalem is free, which is mother of all of us. So this is a heavenly Jerusalem. For it is written, be glad, O sterile one not giving birth, break asunder and yell, one not travailing. So Apostle Paul is calling this Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is a woman. She is the bride, right? And we can see that Jerusalem is 12,000 reeds divided by 83.3 reeds in a stadia is equal to 144 stadia. Now the stadia we find in verse 2 of Isaiah 54. Widen the place of your tent. And remember, New Jerusalem is also called the tabernacle in Revelation 21:3. Pitch the hide coverings of your curtains. Spare not. Distance out your measured lands. Now, measured lands here, measured lands is you measure the lands with a line. So in the Septuagint, the root word for measured lands here is the line. You measure with the line or a cord. Here's the word skinion, a cord or a rope. So that's how you measure a cord or rope, is how you measure a stadia. All right. Behold, I prepare for you carbuncle or anthrax, fair colors of your stone, for your foundations of sapphire. I'll make your parapets, or like the towers, jasper and agate, and your gates stones of crystal. Carbuncle. Choice stones, for all your sons are instructed of God. And much peace, remember Jerusalem means peace, shalom, to your children. All right, so that's in Isaiah 11:13. All right, and so the things that were being shown here is very similar to what we see in Revelation. And what happened is in the Dead Sea Scrolls, let's see, I'll make your stones beautiful colors and lay the foundations of sapphires and rubies. Just same thing, different translation. Now, over in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they looked at this as well as New Jerusalem, equating it to the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And the interpretation, of Isaiah 54 that they had in 4QPLSA, and what that means, it's in cave 4, it's a pesher, which means an interpretation, and it's Isaiah, in this case Isaiah 54. Behold, I lay your stones antimony, and in its interpretation that he arranged all of Israel like mascara around the eye, and your foundations like sapphire. Foundations of sapphire. So this is what it's saying in Isaiah 54, and this is the interpretation in Qumran. And they founded the council of the community, the priests and the people, and they set apart a sanctuary in the midst. His elect congregation, like sapphire among other stones. And Scripture says, I will make agate your pinnacles. Its interpretation concerns the 12 men and the 12 priests. Now we believe the 3 priests are among the 12 men. So who's the 12 men? It's the 12 apostles. And they're what? Gemstones of the foundation. They are the foundation of New Jerusalem. These will shine with judgment of the Urim and Thummim. Now remember how we showed you the breastplate was the Urim and Thummim. Well, they will shine like the Urim and Thummim, so that the outworking of the foundation, the New Jerusalem, you have Urim and Thummim in the center of the holy place, but then the aspect of the Urim and Thummim, determining the will of the Father, revealing what his will is, okay, was the foundation outworking from the center of the 2 stones that goes out into the 12 stones and the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay, and the 12 apostles shine with the judgment of the Urim Thummim to ordain judgment of wickedness. So they're judging. Okay, and that's what Christ said. 12 apostles sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Which is banished from them like the sun and the light. Okay, sun and the light. So New Jerusalem actually doesn't have a sun and a moon because Yahweh and the Lamb are the light thereof. And your gates are carbuncle. Its interpretation concerns the heads of the tribes of Israel in the last days, who were appointed by each man, all of his lot in the rank of the council of God. So that's the 12 apostles judging the 12 tribes. Okay, so isn't that amazing? We will get into more of this in future videos when we cover the 12 apostles. But in this one, what have we learned? We have learned that the Dead Sea Scrolls tell us the measurements of the gates. One thing we'll point out is that they gave us the measurements of the tower, of the gate itself, and what we did is we had to actually take some of those and adjust them to the revelation the angel gave to John, and that's why we have a chamber here and here inside the wall, so that we thus have 3 on either side in the same form and manner as we do in David and the Ezekiel temple. As you see, we have 3 chambers on each side. But besides minor adjustments, okay, we basically are rendering New Jerusalem. What are our adjustments? Well, we have the 3 chambers, we have to make the wall taller, we have to make the corresponding towers taller, but besides that, we are actually rendering this almost precisely to the Dead Sea Scrolls pattern. Okay, so guys, the angel said there will be time no longer. We thank you for watching, and we encourage you to follow along in this series. We will have more videos coming.